Welcome to Backroom Talk.
Chatting a little bit about the year in review and then the year to come in fitness and just some general ideas around it.
I think we should challenge our beliefs this year.
First thing I'd like to see more of in 2022 is corporations rewarding healthier behaviors and creating healthier workspaces.
I wish people would just stop trying to always be right.
I want to see less of keto ice cream and other keto-related products in the grocery store.
To listen to more Backroom Talk, be sure to subscribe. Learn to design personalized programs with the OPEX system of coaching by heading to opexfit.com.
Well, guys, welcome to another episode of Backroom Talk. I'm Georgia here with Carl, and we're chatting a little bit about the year in review and then the year to come in fitness and just some general ideas around it. So you had a fun little question to kick us off, Carl. So pose it. What did you want to talk about?
Oh, man, yeah. I think, so we were having a conversation, and I asked this question of if you could sum up or give your recap of 2021 in it's called an article title format, like you're a journalist and you're like recapping 2021. I just asked what would your title be to this long article that you're writing that recaps 2021. So I'll ask you that question. What is your title to 2021? What was that?
I'll read it because I wrote something down. It's a little bit snarky. I'm just gonna put it out there that this does not sum up my personal 2021, but some trends I've observed among the population and
yeah.
people
Let me be more clear on that, because we actually had to talk about this back and forth for a few minutes. So yeah, the idea is like this isn't your personal anecdote of what happened to you personally over 2021, but just the fitness industry as a whole coming from your brain and what you've observed.
So here's my title. New $2,000 laundry rack doubles as stationary bike. And I had a second version that was very similar, which was whether you bought a Peloton or a road bike in the 2020 lockdowns, chances are it's now gathering dust.
Oh.
So yeah, both
ouch.
a little burn,
Yeah.
a little sizzle there.
Burner.
I chose this.
Why? Yeah, why?
Yeah, I was reading, I think like literally the day you asked me this question, a Fit Insider popped in my email inbox, which is a great little roundup. Do you hear that buzzing?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the bike.
Oh, that's okay. We'll have a little bit of for you guys hearing that little like shh in the back. That's an assault bike. That's probably 25 meters away, and Sam Smith is getting after it out there. So
he's putting some power into that thing.
Yeah.
I just I was so confused as to what that humming was for a second. I was like, is the building gonna fall down or something? Anyway, let's go back to the topic. So Fit Insider dropped in my inbox. They do a great little roundup of like fitness business ideas. So go subscribe to them if you're not already and you're interested in those topics. But I think like one of the first things in that episode was around Peloton and the contraction they're seeing and the idea that sales aren't growing there anymore.
Yeah, mostly due to manufacturing.
Yeah.
Actually.
Is that the case?
Yeah, mostly due to manufacturing, because they're getting hit hard right now, just like everyone is that's creating physical goods right now. So they're actually, I don't remember where I read this. It definitely wasn't Fit Insider, but they're not pivoting, but they're trying to close that gap. Because their numbers took a shit. They went to the shitter based on where they were in 2020. So they're trying to make up some revenue somewhere, and they're starting I don't want to butcher it, but look more into this if you're interested. But they're starting some kind of digital platform where you can exercise using the Peloton name without having a bike. So they're doing like boxing classes and like shadow boxing classes and stuff like that. So they're doing the same shit everyone else is doing. But yeah, I think it's because of physical goods, the not being able to manufacture those things.
Interesting. Well, nonetheless, I know more than one person who literally bought a Peloton during 2020 and like barely uses it anymore. And a number of people who went out and bought bikes to ride and are no longer enjoying that habit, which is kind of sad.
That's good though, because for those that do want to get out and ride bikes, there's a good resale.
This is
you get
true.
some good value off those people that went out and bought those things. Where we live, I was actually just talking about this the other day because I'm gonna get a sauna in our backyard, And I was like, I love living here because you have a lot of people in Scottsdale, Phoenix that just buy a lot of shit and never use it. And then they sell it for really cheap. So I was just going on like different marketplaces and looking at like $8,000 saunas for like $1,500, $2,000. And I'm like, oh yeah. So we have a good used bike market.
There we go. It might be time to finally upgrade my old like 1970s Schwinn bike that I ride around.
I'd like that if you did that.
I love it. Anyway, it's vintage. It's retro. What would your headline be for 2021?
Mine would be an opportunity that slipped through our fingertips.
What was the opportunity?
The opportunity was to really put health and fitness on the forefront. We talked about this shit a lot, right, in 2020 and coming out of 2020 and how health, fitness, vitality, that whole idea should be more top of mind for people after everything that we've gone through in the past few years. And not to say that hasn't had any movement, but I don't think it had a substantial, like there hasn't been a substantial impact on the way that people view their own health, wellness, and fitness. I think we went a completely different way, and we I don't even want to say we, but we as people, we focused and argued about really stupid things in 2021, and our own health and well-being just kind of went by the wayside, like it always has. So I think there was a big opportunity in 2020, 2021 to really put this thing on the forefront. And obviously we're just like living in it day in and day out. So I think we can easily get lost and be like, yep, we definitely thought about this thing a little bit differently, or we thought about it the same way. And people's perceptions to what we were talking about were, let's call it, perceived differently in our little bubble. But as a whole, just talking to like friends and family members and, just being like fly on the wall, it doesn't really look like anyone changed much. By anyone, I mean like the masses. Obviously, you've had some great stories of people becoming woke to the idea of like, hey, I need to move my body more. I need to focus on being a healthier individual. But gosh, I don't think it's moved the needle at all, really. So yeah, I think it was an opportunity that slipped through our fingertips.
I would agree with that. And, anecdotally, there are definitely some awesome one-off stories of people reclaiming health and, quitting their job and finding a new one that allows them more balance and just some other benefits that have come out of the turbulence of the last couple of years. But I don't think there's been like some broad cultural, social change around fitness where we've seen like sweeping changes in people's health. It's the same shit.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like fitness, health, and fitness. Let's just put that all in one bucket. It's almost been ignored. It's almost been ignored over the past couple years. The only time I heard anything about health and wellness really over the past 6 months, and like let's call it mainstream media, was when the obesity study came out, when they looked at like the negative effects of children with COVID, and it was linked to obesity, and everyone's like, wait, what? And we're just like, yeah, fucking of course. Like, haven't we all been talking about this for years now? And that was just like this headline news, and that was like the only thing I've heard over the past 6 months. So, yeah, quite frankly, it's just it's sad, and it's just ignored. And it's like, how do you have the conversation with people that aren't ready to hear it, and that don't want to have the conversation? Experience this even with my own family. Sometimes when you get into those conversations on like, sickness and all of that, and the kind of the elephant in the room, let's call it, of living a really unhealthy lifestyle is just ignored, and I still think we're ignoring it.
Yeah, very much so. My husband Jacob and I literally had this conversation yesterday on a walk after he'd had a bit of a conversation with his family on a similar topic and some frustrations they're having. And for them, health or like doing fitness or eating a certain way is very much only connected to scale weight and to like looking a certain way. And there's a complete disconnect between how, moving your body and eating good foods does more for you than just makes you look a certain way, gives you abs, whatever it might be, that most people connect the dots there with. And you just want to like shake people sometimes and say like, just think of how much better your quality of life could be if you put a little bit more energy into eating a bit more protein and taking a 15-minute walk after lunch. And I don't want to get like on my high horse or be judgmental, because at the end of the day, we're all grown-ups and we're all responsible for our own behaviors. But I think we all just want to live the best possible life and have the best possible experience we have. And fitness is a way to do that. Like, there are so many experiences you don't get to have if you're not looking after yourself and in optimal health. And it's not that hard to fix, but people just don't seem to connect the dots.
Yeah. And, us in the fitness industry, we have to do our part. So, anyone listening, if you're a coach, if you're in the fitness industry directly or indirectly, I would just, I would offer up the thought experiment of taking a step back and thinking about, not to say that fake headline that I made up is absolute truth. It's truth in my mind, but think about what you've done for the industry over the past few years. And by the industry, I just mean like it might just be your inner circle, right? Like what are if you're coaching people, it's like, what is that? Are you doing the things that Georgia said with your clients, the simple stuff, the small stuff, like not getting on your high horse, but it's like, hey, we can make some really simple changes, and those simple changes over a long, long period of time could have some really, really impactful, let's just call it benefits. So yeah, I would just ask ourselves, like, what have we done and what are we going to do this year, so we're not headlining again next year with that, which we will be.
For sure.
It'll be the same shit.
It's not going to be any different.
Yeah. No, but it's worth the fight, right?
It's
worth the fight. So, yeah, I think that's we all have to think about that stuff if we're in the industry.
Yeah, agreed. I think a really worthy question we can ask ourselves on like a daily basis in our fitness practice with our current clients and then the clients we want to work with as well is, am I making fitness accessible for the people that need it the most and the people that I'm trying to change? My ideal client, my target market. I've spent the time and I've defined who these people are, but is the like idea of fitness that I'm putting forth to them, that I'm actually writing in programs, that I'm doing myself, that I'm putting out on social media, whatever it might be, is what I'm doing accessible to those people, and can they see like a little entry way into that, or is it just like completely foreign and crazy to them?
Yeah, the issue with accessibility is, it's not that attractive to some people. People want to look at things that are inaccessible, right? Because they want to get out of like their reality and get into someone else's reality and just like hope and wish and dream. So not saying that's right, but I think that's a part of the inaccessibility of fitness and wellness and aesthetics and all that stuff is give something people to look up to, and those people know that they'll probably never get there. But it's just like that. It's that fairy tale they get to open their phones and look at on a daily basis.
Yeah, connecting those two things is interesting. How do we make sure we're still making things look alluring? Because at the end of the day, everything is marketing, right? You got to convince people that they want to do something, but you got to also make sure that they can do it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So there was part 2 to your question. 2022, right? We're talking about what we'd like to see at the end of this year.
We're talking about the more or less piece?
I'm still on the headlines. So you'd proposed a headline to sum up 2022.
Oh, I gotcha.
But also what it might read at the end of the year.
Got it. Did you do your 2022 first?
I have an idea. Yeah,
okay,
I can
roll,
put mine
roll.
together.
Sorry, you messed me up because I thought we were bouncing back and forth and you went back and back.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Well, let me go for so this is my headline that the newspapers will read at the end of 2022. Wait for it. Newsflash. Six-pack abs no longer licensed to offer fitness advice.
Oh. Where's that coming from? Why is that the headline at the end of this year?
It's the headline because of kind of what you just said, Carl, where inaccessibility becomes an issue because people are looking at something that is probably never going to be a reality for them. And then also something that's not actually offering like true steps towards improving fitness.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same like frustration that I will always feel with social media and everything being wrapped up in like a pretty little bow, and the idea that just because you've had success or you look a certain way means that you can, go ahead and advise others on how to do it. That stuff annoys me.
Yep.
And at OPEX, our goal is to empower professional fitness coaches and help them increase their value. And at the end of the day, when there are people who don't actually have the skills that they need to improve the lives of people in fitness, offering to do that, that devalues the fitness coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it annoys me on a personal level, but also on a professional level. As I'd consider myself a professional fitness coach.
Yeah.
It frustrates me seeing people fall into the same traps over and over again because something is wrapped up with a six-pack ab bow.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I hope that comes true.
Yeah.
I hope that's true.
I mean, at the end of the day, if someone can say something and it helps another person, that is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to discount the fact that that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
People find inspiration in other people's stories. There are people who are fitness influencers doing awesome things for some people, but I think more than anything, it just perpetuates disordered eating and exercise.
Yeah.
In most.
Yeah. Mine will be,
Mm-hmm.
looking to the future, a simple, "You're eating what?" question mark. And where this comes from, there's something behind this. I'm not just like talking shit. We're seeing a massive issue with food distribution around the world right now. Meats especially, but grains and everything else. So what's going to happen? We are going to start seeing what we've always seen, but I think we're going to see it at a faster rate of fake foods being distributed at an unbelievable rate this year. Not because it's what everyone wants, but because out of necessity, and we just don't have the ability to go to the grocery store and to just regular commercial grocery store and snag like a really good loaf of sourdough bread, or go to the butcher and have like all of the butcher at that commercial grocery store and have all of the accessible meats and stuff like that we have today. There's some countries that are just holding on to a lot of the distribution of animal proteins, and let's just call them like very refined grains and all that shit that a lot of people are used to eating. So I don't know if you saw, was it McDonald's that did the Impossible Nugget?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I might be wrong on the restaurant, but it was a fast food restaurant that did. I think it was McDonald's. It was like the Impossible McNugget or something like that. And like this, like people are like not outraged at this. They're like, wow, this is unbelievable. It tastes just like a chicken McNugget, and they're getting like a bunch of praises right now on this. And I think that was like the first one of the year that we're going to see, but I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that stuff enter the market. I think we're going to start seeing the Impossible Burgers start to take over the commercial grocery stores. They're already there, but they're like kind of off to the side in this like little subsection, or like in the middle in like the weird little freezer section that sits in the middle of grocery stores in the meat aisle. I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff in 2022 just because of distribution.
Interesting. Oh, I mean, ethical reasons aside, that's all good. But when you take a moment to look at the like macro micro profile of the Impossible meats, that shit's not like offering you the nutrition that you get from eating real meat. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, with every problem, there's an opportunity, right? Problem is we're not getting the foods that we used to 12 months ago at the rates that we're used to getting them. Even like berries and stuff. I don't know if you've been to the grocery store lately and you just realize that like even fruits are a lot more minimized right now. But with every problem, there's an opportunity for someone, and I think these manufacturers are going to find a huge opportunity in the absence of these real foods, and they're just going to create them, upmark them. It's going to be super cheap to create. It's a lot cheaper to create the Impossible Burger than it is to, farm a bunch of cows and like not even going into the practice of farming those cows, but farming those cows and butchering them and distributing all the meat around the world. So there's an opportunity there. So I hope most people will be like, oh man, like grocery stores are emptying. I need to find a local butcher. I need to find, local fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. But I don't think a lot of people do that. I think they'll just continue to go to the grocery store and just pick whatever they offer.
For sure. It's interesting that our the thing that we praise in the food substitute is taste just like, and not meets the nutritional, profile of the fact that we're concerned with the taste, but not the actual nutrition behind that taste.
Yeah. Gosh, but I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people go pick up something, turn it around and look at what's in it. Like, I don't know if that's the first thing they do. I know I do that. I know you do that. But I don't think the typical American, because we're in America right now, is going around picking up a pack of meat or whatever the heck they're looking at and turning around and looking at the nutritional value of that thing. I think they're looking at the package. They're saying like, this looks cool. To your point, marketing. Yep, I think I'm going to buy this. It has like some buzzwords on the front. It's a gluten-free rice cake. That's awesome. Like, who would have thought?
Gluten-free corn chips. Those are my favorite.
Gluten-free tortilla chips. Corn tortilla chips. And, they're getting sold on that stuff. And they're just like saying, okay, cool. Let's see how this thing tastes. We make a lot of decisions on taste.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, which is fair enough. I think food is a incredibly pleasurable thing in life. I love eating. I love consuming food. But I guess those buying chicken McNuggets are probably not doing so for nutritional reasons anyway. So what difference does it make to have the Impossible Nugget so long as it tastes the same?
I'm going to look up the nutritional value of chicken McNuggets after this podcast.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah. How much protein is in that chicken McNugget? Does it fit your macros, Carl?
Oof, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. If it does, we know what's going. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Well, so that is those are our headlines for fitness in 2021 and 2022. Anything to add there?
No, I think there's. Let's not be doom and gloom about these things. Reality sometimes is doom and gloom, but we have to find the positives in those things, right? Because I thought about it last week when I was seeing all this stuff that's happening in the manufacturing world and stuff like that with food, and I was like, there was like something came over me really quick of like, oh, that sucks. And then I was like, oh no, it's a great opportunity here, right? Like I always said, I wanted to go all in on like local meats and stuff like that, and just trying new things and blah blah blah. And it's like this actually forces my hand to do so. So yeah, I think there's some good opportunities in all the things that we laid out today.
I'm gonna tell one tiny little funny story before we move on. I don't know if you heard this, but Philadelphia has had like massive shortages in cream cheese production. So
I did not
there's
know
like,
this, no.
go look in the grocery store. It's really hard to find cream cheese depending on where you're living. But they had a marketing strategy at the end of December to help make people feel less bad about the fact they couldn't buy Philadelphia cream cheese, where they were paying people to not make cheesecake for their holiday desserts. So if you baked a dessert that was not a cheesecake, took a photo of it and submitted it to Philadelphia, they'd give you like $20. I don't think they give you $20 cash, but like in credit somehow.
To not buy their Philadelphia cream cheese?
Exactly, to not bake a cheesecake with cream cheese.
But what do you buy with that credit if it's Philadelphia cream cheese?
I don't know what the details were,
Okay.
like where the money actually went, whether it was through specific grocery stores or what. But I thought that was like pretty fun, having a little bit of a joke at themselves, but also like pretty dire that there's not enough cheese to put on the shelves.
Do you know where that comes from, the shortage? Like
No.
Where are they seeing that? Like where's the place where they're seeing the shortage?
I don't know like where in the supply chain they're running into issues, but anyway, look it up. Thought that was a good marketing campaign.
Awesome.
So, rest of the conversation, we wanted to talk a bit about the things we want to see more of in 2022 and then less of in 2022. I guess specifically to fitness, because
Yeah.
that's what we talk about here.
Hmm.
So, let's start with some of the things we want to see more of. Could you give us one, Carl?
Yeah. Gosh, this is something that would probably be on my list every year. Well, that's unfair. Maybe the last 5 years. I think we should challenge our beliefs this year.
Hmm.
We should do more of that, like openly challenge our beliefs and let other people challenge our beliefs as well without getting offended. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot to be learned. There obviously is a lot to be learned from every human, right? Because we don't know everything. Um, and I think this kind of goes off of, what we just talked about, and what I said specifically on the first piece on, we let an opportunity slip through our fingertips. I think not enough people were open-minded enough to think about other things than just like, medicines and stuff like that. So I think if we all had the willingness to challenge our own beliefs and let other people challenge them as well, I think a shit ton of learning can occur. So I think that'd be my first one, where I think we all need to do a little bit more of in 2022.
Is there any way that you would specifically do that in fitness and nutrition on a personal level? Like, are there any things that you're looking to kind of peel back and challenge around your beliefs there?
Yeah, definitely. I think we can all build our own practices in, right? For myself specifically, it's been something that I've always done, unintentionally, I think, right? I think we all have our own learning practices. Some people take courses, some people read books, some people listen to other smart humans talk. And you don't shut down the things that you don't believe, right? So in that learning practice, you come into that thing open-minded, and that doesn't mean to believe everything that you hear and to constantly change your mind based on what the last person that you heard say, something that relates to that thing said. But for me personally, it would be, as I'm going through other, like, just educational pieces throughout the year. I don't, and this, like, you have to do this intentionally, but I don't shut things down because, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, nope, I already have this belief. Like, I can't hear that. I can't listen to that, or I'm going to completely shut that down. I'm trying to give some specific examples. Let me give a specific example of something that I changed my belief on last year and how I came to changing that belief. Last year specifically, I changed my belief on people. This was a conversation that I had with James, and gosh, it was in Coeur d'Alene actually. It was in July. Were we out there in July?
Yeah, July.
Yeah. So I was having a conversation with James on doing anaerobic work and like some of the really good things that come from doing anaerobic work if you're able to do and express anaerobic work. And I think it was just like timing, right? Because James had been thinking about that stuff specifically for like a year, where he's just like, shit, are we teaching the wrong things? But I changed my belief that if you're not participating in something, that you need to express yourself anaerobically, you should absolutely never do it. Like, I used to think that you can sprinkle it in. It's okay, right? Like, as a coach, this past year, I changed my mind on that. Because I couldn't come to like an outcome that was beneficial enough that outweighed the negatives of those types of activities. And I think the first time I thought about it really last year it was actually with me, you and James, we were doing, I think we were doing like some Saturday or Sunday.
Something terrible.
We did something. No, we did like bike sprints or something like that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember that.
And after that, this was like a month before July. After that, I asked James, I was like, do you think the positives outweigh the negatives of the session that we just did? And he kind of just like blew it off. He was like, yeah, I'm not sure. What do you mean by that? And I was like, I didn't have like an answer. I just kind of thought about it. And then a month later, I had like a bunch of things that I had written down and taken to him. And I'm like, well, remember that question I asked you like a month ago? And I was like, like I had my thoughts more organized. And through that conversation, I was like, yeah, I don't think anyone should do that type of work unless they need to for something very specific or they have a very specific outcome, because the positives 1, 2, and 3 don't outweigh the negatives 1, 2, 30, right? Like all of those things. So that's something that I changed my mind on. I didn't want to change my mind on it.
It's fun, right?
It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our education,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now, what do we tell people in cohorts? Based on what we believe, no one should do it unless they have a very specific outcome that they're trying to get from it. But if their goal is like health and vitality, it's like if those two things are their goals and those are their top priorities, they should never, ever, ever do it because the negatives outweigh the positives. So now we have this OPEX pain stuff that we have to teach in our cohorts. And that's what we're telling people now. It's like no one does it. No one. And it's like, but what if I'm able to do it? It's like, congratulations, you still shouldn't do it unless your goals are X, Y, and Z. So that was a tough thing
Yeah.
for me.
Not to go like too far down that rabbit hole though, but I do think the idea of just because something exists doesn't mean you should do it is absolutely true. But knowing what exists can be helpful to then consciously make the decision of what you're going to and not going to do.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why we teach
Yeah.
it, right? That's why you have to learn about what anaerobic training is, what OPEX pain is, what the potential benefits could be for a very small population, and then what the negatives are for a much broader population of
Yeah.
people, for 99%. So there's nothing in what you just said that means we should just ignore that exists. Like we have to acknowledge it.
No, I agree with you.
Because you'll stumble into it otherwise. It's
Yeah,
pretty easy to fall into that kind of training.
Yeah, you have to give context, right, to understand why. Like it's not like you don't do this thing if your goals are X, Y, and Z, and then conversation stops. It's you don't do these things if your if your goals are X, Y, and Z because of A, B, and C, right? So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Like it's part of energy systems training, right? It's like, and it's the sexy stuff too. So, I think there's a conversation to be had on those things. But that was a really long explanation of what I changed one of my beliefs on this past year. But that's one thing. And this year there'll be more. Last year there was a lot more. That was just the first thing that came to my mind.
For sure. So my first thing I'd like to see more of in 2022 is corporations rewarding healthier behaviors and creating healthier workspaces. I think that the work that fitness coaches do is incredibly noble, and we're trying to do the best we can with the time we have with people. But a huge percentage of people's time and energy and priority is around work, especially here in the US. Like people live to work. They literally live to work. They're looking for self-actualization through their jobs. But traditionally, corporations have not supported living a healthy lifestyle, right? My husband Jacob used to work for big corp, and it was impossible for him to go take a walk after lunch based on how the building was set up. And if he'd taken off his long sleeve button down and slacks to get some sun exposure in the middle of the day, people would have thought he was crazy. Access to food, incredibly limited. Most of it was like burgers and fries, and then there's a snack room full of a bunch of sugary snacks and drinks, and expectation that people work really long hours away from home so that they don't have time to go to the gym, prepare food for themselves. So I'd love to see corporations put more focus on employees' health. There's obviously the benefits of increased productivity that come from a healthier workplace. Like there are actual benefits to the workforce and the work that's being done. But moreover, like to the individuals inside, just taking a little bit more responsibility and making sure that they're being looked after. Something I'd love to see.
Who do you think does it really well? Like a big corporation?
Yeah, I don't know. Something that I thought was very interesting was Whoop and the idea that they pay their employees to sleep more. I know I'd seen a headline on that. I thought that was a really interesting idea. I've heard great things for like engineer level people working for Google, having, great health, life, fitness balance, and same thing for people working for eBay. But I'm not sure. Do you have any ideas?
Um, gosh, not really. I mean the bigger ones, like the ones that, are just common knowledge, like the ones that you just said.
Big tech companies, right?
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, what was it? Zappos
Mm-hmm.
shoes. They had a really interesting physical literacy initiative that they tried to push. I don't know if they're still rolling with. I don't even know if they exist anymore, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but they were big about a decade ago. Um, but no, nothing comes to mind immediately. I think that would be gauged by. I think a good program would be gauged by the health of the employees that are inside of the company. Because I think you could have some awesome programs that sound really cool, but are people using them? Because I would venture to guess. I have a lot of friends that work in corporate America, and they have some pretty sweet incentives baked in that are associated with health and fitness, and no one takes advantage of them. Um, so I think the way that we would have to gauge that is who are the companies that have the healthiest employees. Um, yeah, none come to mind immediately.
Yeah, it's obviously a bigger problem than we can really sit and solve here.
Yeah.
But I just think if workplaces where people spend 8, 10, 12 hours of their day are not setting people up for healthy behaviors, then the work we do is kind of futile,
Yeah.
as depressing as that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
healthier workplaces I'd like to see.
I like that one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
What else would you like to see more of?
This is gonna be do this and this. Broaden or narrow your horizons this year.
Mm.
So, what do I mean by that? It's like broadening your horizons. What does that mean? It's expanding one's range of interest, activities, and knowledge. Should everyone do that? No. I think some people need to hone in and focus and narrow their horizons for a year, depending on where you are. And I don't want to bring this back to like the technician, craftsperson, and master conversation that we had a few weeks ago, but it's something similar to that, right? Where, depending on who you are and where you are in your fitness journey, your coaching journey, your put anything else after that, you need to think about, what do you really need to do to be successful this year? Like for yourself. I don't mean like financially or anything like that. That it might be financially for some people, but to have a successful year, do you need to broaden your horizons and learn a bunch of new things? Do you need to be more open-minded? Or to be really successful in 2022, do you need to narrow your horizons and really hyper-focus and really dial in on 1, 2, or 3 specific things? This is one that came to mind because it's something that I thought about with myself this year, where it's like, I'm not like I don't think you are either, a New Year's resolution person.
No, I think about what I did the year prior, and I
Yep.
think about like what my themes are going to be and a few
Mhm.
things I'd like to achieve, but not like a resolution.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm going to achieve this one
Yeah.
solid thing.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, I thought about that. And I was just thinking about like doing less versus doing more, not productivity wise, but just like in terms of like if we set out a list of things that we did last year versus the year before, did that list grow? Did that list shrink? Is it a good thing if that list shrank? Is it a bad thing if it grew? And I was like, I want to do less, and I want to do less things a lot better this year. So for me specifically, I was like, I want to narrow my horizons this year. I want to connect with people on a deeper level. The people that I'm already connected with. I'm not trying to go out and make a bunch of new friends in 2022. If it happens, it happens. Cool. But I want to narrow in on those people, on those relationships. I want to give them more time. I want to have less meaningless touches with people. So for me, it was like narrow, where, 2 or 3 years ago, I probably would have been like broaden, learn more, do more, do more, do more. I want to narrow in this year. So Just to give context and where my head was when I was thinking about that, I think people need to identify where do they sit on that continuum. Do they need to do more? Do they need to do less this year?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting way to think about any like area of growth. Like in fitness education, it's like, do I need that like broad base of skills that one needs to be a successful coach, or is there a specific population or a specific type of training that I really want to focus on this year, and defining where you sit in those two camps. Same thing could go for what you're doing in the gym, right? Are you trying to build a broad base of like, you know, functional fitness and just like get a little touch on everything? Or do you really want to go down the rabbit hole of aerobic development and make that something you're going to focus on? So yeah, I like that broad or narrow approach.
Yeah. That narrowness it got so narrow for me. I was like, this is my split of 2022. Even my exercise split's going to stay the exact same for the entire year.
Is that true?
Yeah, swear to God.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my split's going to stay the same. I'm like, boom, this is it. Like I'm narrowed in. I have to think about one less thing. This is what I'm doing for my fitness in 2022. Everything. Like I'm really trying to like narrow in on a lot of different things right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
So did I make the list of the people you're going to have meaningful relationships with and include in your circle, or am I cold?
Let me check. G?
Yeah.
Not J, right? G?
Thanks.
Yeah, you're there. Yeah,
Okay,
you're
good,
right
good.
there.
Good. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to record next week.
My list of 5 people. You're on there. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, definitely Georgia. You're always on there.
Oh, well, I'll share my last thing. It's greater personalization of fitness. So it's a little bit of an obvious one for us, but I want to connect it to data. So there's been such an influx of like fitness wearables and tracking and self-measurement that's happened over the last few years. And like, it's cool, it's not cool, whatever. We've done an episode on that. But I do think that there is like great opportunities for people to be better educated around like where they sit and what their health is, and apply that to fitness. One thing that comes to mind specifically is like what Inside Tracker are doing, for example. And I think if people could have like better understanding of like where they sit in health through blood work and understanding what those biomarkers are, like you got to know what's going under the hood to like really be able to affect it and change it in an influential way. And when we talk about improving someone's health and vitality, like what are we really trying to improve? If we can move those biomarkers in the positive direction, we're probably doing a good job. So I like to see more people understanding what's going on underneath the hood. Maybe it's making doctor's appointments regularly and getting blood work done. Maybe it is using a company like Inside Tracker to be able to have that data themselves and just not turning a blind eye to what's happening inside of them.
Yeah.
And then being able to use that in fitness personalization. But gosh, I speak to so many people who like never go to the doctor, never have blood work done. I have a friend who's like a healthy 24-year-old, went for like a well visit, a doctor's checkup, and they told him that he didn't need to have blood work done because he's like young and healthy. And I just think that's crazy. Like even at 24, young and healthy, I feel like you should be getting some insight in what is going on inside of you so you can decide whether or not you want to change anything in your behaviors. So yeah, that just like
That's crazy.
That specific example like totally shocked me and made
What's
me.
the doctor's name? So people never go to the
Right?
doctor.
I have no idea. Someone in Scottsdale though, so I'll find out. Yeah.
That's So you're not saying that people need to overanalyze
No.
what's going on under the hood. It's just like identify a couple things that could be beneficial to implement in better individualizing their health and their fitness.
Exactly. I mean, people do it in their finances, right? Like everyone knows that they have to know what's going in and out of their bank account in order to like make wise investments decisions. Well, they don't know
Not
this
everybody.
is true. Most people turn a blind eye to that. But like realistically, if you want to make an impact in your finances, you have to know what's happening. And if you don't know personally, then work with someone who can decipher that for you. But the same thing goes for your health, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have some of that like vital information. And I don't mean you need to track your sleep every night and like know what your resting heart rate is on a daily basis and test your HRV. Like if you want to do that stuff, cool, but at the very least understand what's going on in your blood so you know whether there's anything that needs to be changed or not.
I like that one. That's a good spin on like, do this but do it for a reason. You know what I mean? So you want to see more individualization of health and fitness this year, and that's one way or a bunch of ways inside of that idea to better individualize that.
Exactly.
Love it.
Let's spend the last few minutes on what we want to see less of in 2022. Mine are all, again, like a little snarky and pretty short. So,
I honestly just have one one thing for me that comes to mind when I think about this. I could have thought about like 100 different things, right? Like, and a lot of them could have related to what we just talked about in doing more, right? But the big thing that comes to mind is, gosh, it's around. It's like two parts, right? Like trying to control things that you can't control, trying to control the way that other people think. And I know this one connects to the challenger belief piece. But always, like, I wish people would just stop trying to always be right about everything. That is, that shit just like tears us down, right? Like in the fitness industry, outside of the fitness industry, in the world, right? Like you can look at anything in the world and you can just look at conflict, right? If you look at conflict and two sides having conflict, they're having conflict because they don't want to admit that they're wrong, right? Or they really, really, really want to be right. Whether that's based on something they said in the past and they don't want to go back on that, or if they just have a massive ego and they just want to always be right. Not that we just need to like lie down and like not have a belief in the world, but I think people just need to get away from that shit where it's like, I need to control what other people think. I need to control other things that I can't control, and I need to always be right. And I'm going to go and investigate, and I'm going to pull out studies, and I'm going to find shit that's going to prove that I'm right. Because if that's the approach that we take, we're just going to go back and forth forever. Let's just talk about the fitness industry specifically. If that's the approach we take, we can go back and forth forever, because I can find evidence about a bunch of stupid shit that I don't think is right, but that doesn't mean that in my brain it's right. So yeah, that's my one thing that's the thing that came to mind, and I think's worth spending any amount of time on.
it's a big thing.
I
right
know,
there.
I know.
I like it though. To finish us off, I'll share mine, and they're all, again, a little bit on the sillier side. So less like, let's change the course of human history, and more like, I want to see less of keto ice cream and other keto related products in the grocery store. I'm like, I love walking down the aisle of Sprouts or Whole Foods and like looking at the new kind of like health products that have come in, the new bars, like all of these new things, and they're all keto at the moment, and I don't want keto snacks. Like I really don't want healthy keto snacks. I want like, balanced macros. I want a little protein, a little carb, and a little fat. So I'm really sick of keto
George is
products.
like, I'm really low fat right now, and all this keto shit is just crushing me.
It's not helping me. It's really not. It's just true. The second thing that I want to see less of is activewear in non-active environments. I say that as I sit here recording a podcast in track pants and an OPEX tee and a sports bra. So
we're at OPEX. This is a fucking extremely active environment.
This is true.
Yeah.
But I just think people could do with dressing up a little bit more and taking a little more time to, just put some effort into their, the way they look. Not too much, but...
give an example of a non-active environment.
So like going out to dinner in leggings, for example. Like you're going out to dinner with friends, and it's not like Chipotle out to dinner. Like you're going to a nice restaurant, like wearing leggings or sweatpants.
Some girls can dress up leggings though, right?
I know. Well,
Or you just mean like yoga pants?
I mean yoga pants.
Yeah. With other like yoga type attire.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't mean to be judgy. Like you do what you want to do.
You are. It's okay.
I'm being
right
judgy.
Now.
I don't know.
We asked you, what do you want to see less of? You have to be a little judgy.
I want to see less yoga pants at nice restaurants. And again, people in like the head to toe, like sports bra and leggings, like shopping at Costco, but clearly didn't just come from the gym. I say this to men as well. Like, I don't know, just let's wear jeans and like a nice shirt sometimes. It's okay to do that. No, sorry to anyone that wears activewear all the time. I'm honestly one of those people. I'm just going to make more of an effort to dress up a little bit more outside of the gym, okay?
That's George's New Year's resolution.
That's my
She's
resolution.
like, I'm going to not wear yoga pants 7 times a week.
It's because I got dressed up in black tie for one wedding, and now I'm like, I got to dress up
Now
every
you're like
day.
above everyone else.
Two more quick things. I want to see less unused gym memberships. So just the idea that you would sign up for a gym and then never actually go. That drives me crazy. I want to see less gym closures in 2022. No more lockdowns where gyms aren't able to operate, please. That would be great. And then the final thing is less sweating the small stuff before addressing other lower hanging fruit.
I'm in.
That's
I like
it.
it all.
Yeah.
I will. I wrote all those down, and those are going to be things that I implement this year. Just so when we're sitting here next year, I can be like, "Hey, Georgia, you said you wanted to see less of this, this, this. Have you noticed over the past 12 months, I'm not wearing these like pants that I'm wearing right now? Like I wear jeans and stuff out though. I don't wear these."
Yeah,
everywhere.
I know you do. I know you dress
No,
nicely.
I'm reflecting. I'm
Yeah.
thinking. I'm like, where am I playing a part in George's
No, you're not.
frustration?
You're definitely not.
Okay.
No,
All right.
you're all good.
All
And I don't see you like sitting there eating your keto halo top or anything like that with any regularity.
That won't change this year. I still will not do that this year. I promise.
Go for the real stuff, guys. Well, on that note, thank you for listening to another episode of Backroom Talk. Please make sure you like, review, subscribe, do all the things. It makes a huge difference for us. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
See you guys.